I'm Tyler Suiters, and with me now is Jim Quigley, who is CEO of Deloitte here and one of our speakers today. Jim, thanks for being with us.
Very good, Tyler. Thank you. It's good to be here.
I know you have a broad footprint economically across the energy and environmental sectors. How do you anticipate the industries changing, the sector changing, specifically with the price on carbon we're anticipating?
Well, that would be unbelievable. That would be a seismic change if, in fact, we got to carbon trading and a real price and a real market that actually develops, because there will be a need for someone to bring order to that market, for us to have meaningful standards, meaningful assurance, and the ability for those market participants to play in a market that is disciplined and has the right kind of governance and oversight.
In your advisory role as a company, Jim, in your role as a forecaster, uncertainty is a variable that you can't account for, just by nature of being a variable, I suppose. But do you go forward and proceed assuming that there will be that price, and that's how you advise your clients primarily?
Well, I think what we have to do is be prepared for any world so that you can succeed no matter where those regulators end up. And that's what we're doing. And that's also what we're advising our clients, is to be ready and to be prepared. If you build your whole business model around your ability to predict, you're going to find yourself disappointed. If you build your business model around an ability to adapt to the environment that is ultimately created, then you're going to be successful. You have to be agile and you have to be able to move quickly. But that's really what I believe is the whole notion of the ability to be successful in any market. And getting the policy decision made and having a meaningful regulatory framework created and global standards in place, and then transparency for the market participants, that's where we need to ultimately arrive, and I think we will get there. What path we will take and what timing all of that occurs on, I'm not ready to predict.
What about the variables in terms of national and international markets? Because with the EU cap and trade system in place right now, you're dealing with a different set of rules, a different set of standards for your client companies that are working on both sides of the Atlantic or across the world.
And that is a very big issue. And it occurs with respect to carbon, but it repeats itself, I think, with respect to accounting standards. It repeats itself with respect to energy broadly, and it repeats itself with respect to, and then you just fill in the blank, any area where you need a regulator to create trust and confidence and discipline in the market. And the way that I like to express it is, in order for a regulator to be effective, that regulator has to have enforcement authority. And enforcement authority is always bestowed on a regulator by a national government. And therefore, regulation is always national. But the markets that you're actually competing in and participating in are global. And so having a global framework put in place and a college of regulators that could actually participate in developing that framework and then carrying it back to a national country where now the first line of defense is going to be national regulation, that's the world that is needed. And I believe we're going to get there, but the journey is going to be bumpy and it's going to take some time.
The central theme here from the Council on Competitiveness, Jim, is just that U.S. competitiveness in a global economy. What is the edge that you want to give your clients, or that you would advise your clients to grasp in terms of the climate situation and energy and water nexus right now? I know it's an overarching question, but there must be something that makes them the most competitive possible on that global scale.
Well, I think what we have to do is have them informed, and our clients need to be current on the developments in this emerging and very fluid environment. And innovation is going to be the key to long-term competitiveness, and also being a responsible citizen, because corporate attitudes are changing, because customer attitudes are changing, because employee attitudes are changing, and therefore we're going to move the needle in the public policy arena in this area. And our clients need to be ready to be able to be competitive on that stage and not find themselves on the back foot and then simply out of a market for some period of time.
There's something about luck is when preparation meets opportunity, I understand. Let's shift gears a little bit, Jim. I want to talk about your role on the advisory board of the SEC. How do you go about anticipating whether legislation or regulation will come into place, and what role the SEC could have if and when we're dealing with a U.S. carbon market?
Well, the SEC plays a critical role to protect investors and to protect consumers and to bring discipline to those markets and to oversee and effectively regulate the market participants. If they became the regulator to oversee a carbon market, that would be a critical role for them to play and an essential role for someone to play, and perhaps them. The role that I had on an advisory committee for the Commission was all around a committee to improve financial reporting. And we delivered our report last August, and I'm pleased with the way the Commission is responding. But I'm not on an advisory group at the Commission that is addressing this issue.
Well, I bring it up, Jim, simply from the point that you know the Commission especially well, at least from the inside to some degree. And throughout the last several months, we've seen Mary Shapiro and Gary Gensler, the chairman of the CFTC, almost connected at the hip in terms of congressional hearings where they've appeared, trying to sort through some of these details. Do you have an opinion as to whether one commission over the other is better suited to handling this kind of market? Because it essentially is a commodity, correct?
And I don't have a view there. I have not invested time to have an opinion. I just simply know the objective. Trust and confidence for market participants. And a regulator plays an essential role in creating that environment and then putting in place the processes to sustain that environment. Now, whether or not that is bestowed on for this particular field, the commodities trading futures, or whether it's bestowed on the SEC, I just don't have an opinion.
That's okay. That's fair. I appreciate you saying that very clearly, Jim. Final question asking about Deloitte itself and how you would fare under a cap on carbon emissions, not being a manufacturer or a producer necessarily, but the fact that this is a global operation that does have a footprint to some degree and changes must be made.
Well, there's no question. We are actually putting in place intensive video conferencing capability in a large number of our offices. We are working aggressively to reduce our travel, and we are working from an awareness point of view with our employee base to help them understand what is their carbon footprint and what actions could they take to mitigate or minimize that. And I think by being responsible citizens in this world as a business leader, including of a professional services firm, you have to be sensitive to these issues. And frankly, there's also a business case for it.
So preparation rather than reaction, or in layman's terms, you're getting out in front of it.
Absolutely. Education, communication, and preparation.
Jim Quigley is CEO of Deloitte. And Jim, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tyler. It's good to be with you.
We certainly appreciate it.